Hello. Happy International Women's Day. I'm so honored to be here with you all today. Women are a force to be reckoned with. Studies show they're influencing most household purchasing decisions, including where to bank and to invest. Within Canada alone, women control $2.2 trillion of personal finance assets directly, a figure that is expected to grow by more than 70% over the next decade. Women are in control. They control 80% of buying decisions made worldwide. Women are getting down to business. They are starting and growing businesses at significant rates. They own 34% of private businesses, and there has been a 10% increase in entrepreneurship rates over the last 2 years. Women are smart wealth accumulators. They enjoy an 8.1% rate of growth in wealth compared to a 5.8% rate for men, and $28.7 trillion in inherited intergenerational wealth is anticipated by 2016. So, ladies, how should women get comfortable with and knowledgeable about investing? And Michelle, let's start with you.
Well, Diana, thank you for having both myself and Akilah on this panel. Choose to challenge. That is the theme of International Women's Day today. A lot of us, we already possess the skill set and the temperament. However, we don't take action. We tend to look at the biases that exist, the stereotypes, and we have to use those biases and stereotypes as our wings to propel us forward to take action. What do I mean by take action? Reach out to find out information. Get the educational piece. The Women's Collection is phenomenal with providing you with the literacy area that you need in order to educate yourself, to become aware, and also to be confident. Confident where you're talking about the financial future of yourself, and you can reference it back. You can reference back to the website and say, I've got questions in this specific area. So you're a lot more confident when you actually have questions that you're going to pose to somebody. Akilah, I know you can finish it off. What do you think?
No, I think everything you said, Michelle, is so true. And, it's really about taking that initiative, right, to have that money conversation, right? And I find, in my practice, I'll meet many professional women, and there seems to be this huge pressure for them to come to the table knowing it all. And, sometimes to kind of break the ice, I'll say, if I switched roles with you tomorrow, I would be just as much at a loss, right, than, you diving into finances. So, with that said, it's have enough knowledge and enough confidence to come to the table and have these discussions, but please don't feel that you're at any more of a loss than anyone else. And, you're right. Initiatives like the Women's Collection are a fabulous opportunity to start that journey of learning and exploring, and making sure you do come with this confidence that, it's my money, I am doing well, and I'm ready to invest, and I'm ready to, set myself up financially and my family.
Excellent. Now, Akilah, this is an alarming statistic. Studies show that 70% of women fire their advisor after a divorce or their spouse dies. So why is this happening? Are advisors failing their clients?
Diana, yes, this stat really stuck out to me when I first read it. And unfortunately, I have to say, I understand why for various reasons. I think back when I first joined the industry, and I'd sit in on, various meetings with anybody who'd take me along just to get the experience and see. And I was often really taken aback at the exclusion of women during the meetings. And I don't know if this was intentional or, I don't think it was done out of malice. But there seemed to be this overriding bias that women were somehow less interested or didn't really want to be bothered or really engaged in the conversations. And to me, this is just so far from the reality. And, so when it comes to making investment-specific decisions, in particular, it also stats I know you've brought up before that show that women often feel patronized or kind of talked down to in meetings. And, so if I'm thinking about it now, I have just gone through a major dramatic shift. I've lost my partner, or my husband or partner. And, now it's on me to make all the financial decisions and be at the table, of course, I'm going to take this opportunity to choose someone that truly listens to me, truly values my input. And it just makes complete sense to me why there is that, big shift. And I think in the industry, we need to do a much better job at engaging women and making sure they feel just as involved and just as valued at that conversation.
Okay, very good. And, women need to really take several unique factors into account as they plot their financial future. And, they need to consider such things as the likelihood that they might not be paid as highly as their male counterparts, or a possible career breaks on account of taking care of family or ailing, like ailing parents, or even maternity leave, higher healthcare costs, and a good chance of a longer retirement due to an extended life expectancy. So let's take a moment now and let's explore the different stages of the investor life cycle. So with that being said, Akilah, I'm in my 20s. I'm really excited. I'm starting my new career. I have a ton of university debt, and I do have hopes of one day owning my new home, a new home. What advice do you have for me as I start my financial journey?
Sure. So, financial planning is always about setting priorities and, setting goals and kind of working towards them in different ways. So let's tackle debt first, because yes, most people come out, in this age category, they have student debt still. And, student debt is generally a fixed rate product. So I say that to say interest rates are very low right now. They're probably not paying, a huge amount, 2.5, maybe 5%. So bear that in mind. I want you to definitely be paying it down as prudently as you can, but it shouldn't be done at the detriment of all other goals. You mentioned you want to buy a home, right? At some point, assuming you'd like to retire. So, all those goals need to be also taken into consideration, and how can we do them simultaneously? So, again, investing, paying off all your debt at 2.5% when you could potentially make 6 to 8% in the market, the math is pretty simple there. Let's go back to buying a home now, right? The first thing you can do, obviously, set a price range. What are you comfortable with borrowing realistically for the next 10, 20 to 25 years, right? Figure out what you're comfortable with, and then, let's calculate what down payment is necessary. There's lots of mortgage calculator tools you can use, or even going to the bank and seeing if you can get a pre-approval or a mortgage agent that you trust, just to get a sense what you're able to borrow based on your income. Maybe, you're doing this jointly. Figure that out. And then once we set a timeline, right now we want to do this in 3 years, then we can work backwards. How much do we need to save on a biweekly basis, monthly basis, quarterly, and get a sense of what's even appropriate to invest in for that short of a time horizon, right? And how do we save like this? I know we're going to go and use the budget and say, okay, we should have $500, $1,000 at the end of the month. But unless we do this on an automated basis, and we use a strategy called paying yourself first, paying future you first, right? So when that money comes in on the 16th and the 30th, it needs to be taken out that same day and into an investment or savings account for that goal. Otherwise, it's probably not going to be there at the end of the month. And this also allows you to spend what's left guilt-free, okay? Financial planning isn't about not having a lifestyle you enjoy. So let's retire. Last one. I know at this stage, it may not be top of mind, right? You're in your 30s, maybe just turning 30. But let's think about compound growth for a second and realize how powerful that is. If you start investing now, I'm just going to give you one quick math example to understand this. If you start at age 30 and you're able to put aside $500 a month, that means you try retiring at 65, you have a 35-year period to earn 8% on average. You're going to retire with a portfolio worth $1.1 million. What if we were to wait to age 50? We say, you know what, I'm going to wait till my mortgage is paid, wait till my kids are done school to start even thinking about retirement savings. At age 50, you're going to have to save $3,300 a month for that 15-year period, earning the same 8% to end up with that $1.1 million. Time is your best friend. There is no time, the better time to invest than yesterday. So you got to start now. And, make sure that the little that you can put aside will be worth a lot in a long time horizon.
Excellent. Absolutely. We cannot underestimate the power of compounding.
Yes.
And I think Einstein referred to it as the wonder of the world, right?
Yes.
So, Michelle, moving along, I'm aging here. So I'm 45. I have two kids. Life is whizzing by, both professionally and personally. I'm doing my best to juggle it all, right? I'm trying to raise my young boys, manage the household finances, fund college tuitions, paying down my mortgage, and also tend to a very demanding career. What advice do you have for me? How can I best plan for potential needs later in life while creating the wealth I need to advance my life goals?
Well, Diana, first advice I have for you is if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. That's a quote we have heard many times in the past. And what that means is that road will take you to nowhere. So it's so very vital, important when you're going through all of these changes. It sounds like you're talking about my life, believe it or not, with two children, that you prioritize. You sit down and you say, okay, what is it that I'm trying to have accomplished? I've got my children, they've got basketball, they've got gymnastics. I'm taking them all over the place. I still got to think about my retirement. I see something away. I don't know what it is, but something's getting put away. So when you start prioritizing and looking at your goals, you really, really have to sit there and say, what is my framework? What am I working towards? For a framework, you have to have 3 key ingredients. It has to be purpose-driven. You have to have control of your emotions, and you have to have access for wealth creation. So when we're looking at publics and privates, like Akilah was talking about, when you're at that age where you're in your 40s or 50s and you have to put more money away, that rate of return becomes very, very, very crucial. We talk about women living longer. 76% of women are expected to live till the age of 80 versus 65% of our male counterparts. Women are going to live till age 95, 17% of us versus 9% of our male counterparts. What does our portfolio look like? It's okay to just be having that herding mentality where I'm just putting away $25, $100 a month, but what is really in that portfolio? This is when you have to do a true audit. You have to look at, am I following the true laws of wealth creation? You're probably saying laws of wealth creation. I've never heard of the laws of wealth creation. Well, if you want to be successful in life, you have to follow these laws. You want to own a few high quality businesses. Make sure these businesses are domiciled in a long-term growth industry. Really understand these businesses. Use other people's money prudently and hold on to them for the long term. These are the 5 laws that you must follow, especially now in this stage of life where it becomes crucial for you to have that nest egg that Akilah started talking about. Compounding becomes vital. A lot of people say, where am I going to get 6%? Where am I going to get 7%? Much less 8%. I can tell you where you can get them, and so can Akilah. You have to have the right combination within your portfolio. I encourage each and every one of you to take an audit of what it is that you have in your portfolio. Really look at what is there. Sit down with your investment advisor and really say, do I have a framework? I'm very busy and I'm depending on you to help me and make sure that I'm getting to where I need to be. What does everything look like? What does my portfolio composition look like? Does it follow, say, the Canadian pension plan, some of the best pension plans that are out there? That is a combination of not only public, but private investments. So that's what I would give you in terms of what you're looking at. And the other piece, Diana, and Akilah and I talk about this all the time. Women have this fear of saying, okay, where do I go? And I'm going to really stress this. Fear is false evidence appearing real. That's the acronym. It's this false connotation that we can't ask questions. I encourage everybody, no question is too small to ask. Ask them all, ask a plethora of them. As women, we like to have comprehensive plans. We like to know the ins and outs. So I challenge each of you to really overcome that fear part. Sit down, do an inventory of what you have, create your audit within your own investment portfolio, and do they follow those 5 laws of wealth creation?
Excellent. Sounds familiar, Michelle. So as I'm aging here on this investor lifetime, Akilah, I'm in my 60s. I'm eyeing retirement. I'm excited to ramp up my travel time. Hopefully it's post-COVID. pursue my hobbies, and really focus on giving back to my community. What advice do you have for me when studies show that women have a longer life expectancy, yet oftentimes women are retiring earlier to, again, take care of maybe ailing parents or spouses?
Yeah, so as we approach this stage of life where we're now finally thinking about retirement, obviously our portfolio is going to change a bit, right? We're going from a portfolio that's all about growth and long term, but now we're focusing on income, right? You want to actually enjoy and travel with your friends and do all the bucket list things that you have there. But let me point out something. There's this perception that at this point, generally your portfolio should all of a sudden be 100% or 75% liquid. And usually that means people will say, okay, now we need to go into all bonds and which is a fixed income or something that's just an interest bearing investment, very low risk. And we're trying to avoid any volatility. The issue with that, and we pointed out before, longevity risk, right? As women, a lot of us could live till 95. So if you're retiring, at 60 and you could live till 90, that's 30 years that we need to budget for and to make sure you don't run out of money so you can enjoy, leave, your children or your grandchildren an inheritance, any philanthropic, endeavors that you might have. So let's back up there, right? If we're thinking now a 30-year time horizon, we need to think of 3 different buckets, okay? There needs to be a 1 to 3 year bucket. And that will be your near cash, low risk investments to make sure that whatever income level you need is coming out to you on a monthly basis, right? But then what about investments that we don't need to touch for 4 to 7 years? Okay, so in this, it's more your medium risk, possibly some preferred shares, dividend paying investments, blue chip stocks, very solid, very stable, right? And then we still need, again, that 10-year plus growth style investment. So in our 10-year bucket, here's where we can have some private equity, some other different types of investments, some growth stocks, things that you aren't going to touch for another 10 years. And some of this may even just be investments that are really for the next generation, right? But we need to have it really segmented to ensure you don't run out of money. And let's explore why it's, in my view, a bad idea to move to 75% bonds at this point. Because when we look at interest rates, they're near zero. So how is a bond portfolio going to pay you even 4 or 5%, right? You're looking at 1%, maybe 1.5, right? That's not enough. And that is going to ensure that if inflation continues on its usual path of about 2%, you will run out of money. Your purchasing power will be decreased. And again, 30-year retirement, right? So I think that's the issue with the traditionally heavy weighted allocation to bonds. And what Michelle alluded to it and talking about pension plans, CPP has to pay millions of people, right, on a monthly basis their pension. How do they do this? How do they maintain that level of stability and cash flow? Your portfolio back in 2019, it was almost 46% private and alternative investments. If your portfolio doesn't look like it's even in the growth stage and definitely not in the retirement stage, something's not right. And we're not giving you the opportunity to have that stability and the income focused portfolio that you need at that point with still making sure you get enough growth. Private debt is an excellent opportunity to provide something similar. You look at private real estate investment trust, again, income focused portfolio, yet with returns similar to stocks and bonds in a lot of times. So this is kind of my advice at this point, is to really be aware of what's in your portfolio and have a plan, again, a really detailed withdrawal plan that takes into consideration taxes. I can't underestimate how important this is going to be at this stage of your life, that, at this point, you don't want to be paying the taxes you paid when you were in your peak earning years. And obviously this strategy has to be implemented a little earlier, the 40s and 50s, to make sure that at this point, you really have a tax efficient retirement income as well.
Okay, thank you very much. So we're moving along here. So, what is the big call to action? If we're out for everyone participating today, what can women do today? And what are some of the questions that they can ask their financial advisor to assess if they really are on the right track? And so, Michelle, let's start with you.
Okay, perfect, Diana. choose to challenge. I'm going right back to our International Women's Day theme. Like, ask the questions. Look at your portfolio and say, okay, is my portfolio following the 5 laws of wealth creation? Does it own a few high quality business? Are those businesses domiciled in long-term growth industries? Do we really understand what those businesses are? Are we using other people's money prudently? And are we holding them for the long term? Don't be afraid to do an audit and look at those things. You know, as women, some of our biggest fears are, do we have a comprehensive plan? Do we trust what our advisor is giving us? You know, how often are we meeting with our advisor? And how will these decisions impact our family and our world? You know, those are things that are very important to women when we make decisions. So when we look at these industries that we're invested in terms of being long-term, what is their impact? You know, we're seeing a lot of social funds that are existing today. How are we making that positive impact in our world? So when I look at that, I say, ladies, smash through that wall of fear and really ask those questions. Don't be afraid to challenge that status quo that exists. Don't be afraid to challenge the status quo that exists with your advisor when you're meeting with your advisor. You know, there's a number of designations, and Akilah, I'm going to turn it over to you again. I'm going to pass the baton and you can send it back to me. But
and credentials, you hit the nail on the, sorry, I'm gonna mess up that quote there. So yeah, credentials, you know, is your advisor a certified financial planner or any designation that lines up, you know, in the same vein? Because realistically, if your advisor is simply talking investments with you and they're not setting goals and helping you do retirement projections, helping you plan to pay for your kids' education, understanding the tax strategies that go into planning now that, you know, work out to you saving taxes now and in the future, it's not a holistic plan, right? Are they ensuring that you're staying ahead of inflation? Are they thinking of healthcare costs for either yourself later in life or your parents? So there's a lot that goes into it. And I say this because financial planning at the end of the day is a relationship. And you want to be working with someone that you trust. You can express these concerns, these fears to. And the credentials do matter. You know, going through the CFP program, Certified Financial Planner, myself, it was a 3-year program. Lots of exams, lots of hard work that was, you know, into it, and understanding of how important the planning was and the strategies that we can implement. And, you know, so I do value that. And I think definitely, Michelle, I know you have your credentials as well. It's important. If I'm going to be very honest, when you go back and you look at what it takes just for the licensing exams, it's not enough. It's not to really provide holistic financial planning. And I think that's really important. And I think, you know, as women, we should demand that that's the service we expect, that it is holistic. You're meeting with that person on a quarterly basis, and really reviewing and making sure that everything that you desire is happening on track.
Okay, excellent. So I think we're close to time. So I'd ask moderator, we have a couple of poll questions that I think that might be fitting. Moderator, can you please post the first poll question?
It is now live on Huba.
Is the first poll question being asked?
Yes, would you like me to read it out, or would you like to read it out?
Yes, can you please, can we see it, the question?
Yes, it is being posted on Huba.
Right.
We are waiting for results.
Okay, can you repeat because in our view, we're not able to see it. Can you please read the question and the results?
Okay, question number 1 is, how often are you meeting with your financial advisor? And we are still waiting for everyone to vote.
In the chat, they're saying that they can't see the poll.
Yes, so you have to go on to Huba. So if you're logged on through Huba, that is where you will see the poll. It's not accessible through Zoom.
Okay. Okay, well, maybe as that is continuing, maybe I'll pose another question then. Now, we've been hearing a lot about value propositions. So, ladies, I'd ask, you know, when we are looking, when when we're looking for a financial advisor, what value proposition should they be looking for, really?
Good question, Diana. Do you want me to tackle that one first? Okay, perfect. I've always said, it's 10 to 15% investing, and it's another 85 to 90% everything else. When you're looking at going through a divorce, when you're dealing with elderly parents, when you're dealing with looking at your retirement, when you're dealing with death, there's a number of pieces that go into the whole entire investment process. And a lot of these micro designations become extremely important when you're sitting down with your advisor to make sure that they understand the breadth and the knowledge of everything that is going to be entailed. I still remember the day when a client of mine actually had me in their will and had me oversee their whole entire death process. And when I say client, they didn't even have one penny with me. But because of the fact that there was the trust in overseeing everything and getting them to where they needed to be, they felt that that trust was there and it would be done right. And when you're looking at someone who's elderly, going through a health crisis, are you going to be there during those times? When you're looking at someone who's going through a divorce, which is very strenuous, are you going to be able to understand those intricate details of the different documentation that needs to be filed and walking them through that process where you're getting a call on a Sunday saying, I don't know if I can go, this really stressful. So it becomes very important that you look at the overall plan that you're asking somebody to put in place and trust somebody with, because at the end of the day, it really is looking after all your financial affairs and really taking a whole entire account or an audit of all the different pieces. So when you're looking at these things, take it seriously and look at all the micro designations as well that they have and ask them about their experience. I just aging myself, I've been doing it for 30 years, but it becomes very important that you look at all those different pieces and what it means to the overall plan and strategy.
Excellent. And Akilah, do you have any comments you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, no, Michelle, I really thought a look at honestly like the day-to-day actual workings of what we do. My final comment will be about the firm that the advisor's with, and who have they chosen to align their practice with? What's the investment philosophy of that firm? What's the reputation? What's their track record? And what infrastructure exists at the firm? And, I mean that in terms of technology. And I think that will play a huge role, and it does, in what the advisor offers and the services that they're even available to you as a client. And that really plays a huge role. Definitely speaking for myself, moving firms was a big jump, and it's really increased to me what I can provide clients. And looking into that as a client is really important. As much as you and that person may have a good relationship, it will impact what your portfolio is going to look like, what services you can have as a client. Right. Should be taken.
And you mentioned earlier about the concept of adding privates and alternatives as well to an asset mix, or to consider it for a more long-term growth potential. So you want to also align yourself with a firm that has access to such opportunities.
Exactly. And that, is a huge part. What does their investment shelf look like? Is it a firm where it's only proprietary products, where that's all the advisor can offer you? Or is it a firm that really has a wide scope and allows the advisor to really and truly pick what's best? And again, having public and private options available is a huge difference, and something people should look for when they're choosing an advisor and a firm to park their money with and really help them build their wealth. Like if they don't have the options, it's going to be really tough.
Well, that being said, ladies, I want to thank you so much. We do have many comments in the chat, so we will obtain a copy, and then perhaps we can reach out with some answers to those outstanding questions. Again, thank you so much, and please join me as I will be covering the framework for wealth creation in the next breakout session. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Hi, thank you.
Mandeville places a high importance on the advisor and client digital experience. We are thrilled to welcome you to the Mandeville app, now available in iTunes and Google Play stores. The Mandeville app has several features, including financial calculators, Mandeville TV, market commentary, the Mandeville Investor Academy, the Mandeville Owner's Manual, and other documents to educate investors on the Mandeville difference and investing strategies. For Mandeville clients, the app provides a user-friendly way to view their Mandeville accounts using their client portal login. In subsequent app sessions, clients can use their smartphone facial recognition or fingerprint activation. Clients are able to swipe between accounts and view transactions and holdings once they land on the summary page. This technological capability is yet another part of the client advisor experience roadmap that Mandeville is offering. We welcome you to download the app today. Again, now available in iTunes and Google Play stores.